Right now, millions of people are lying awake, completely alone, surrounded by contact, followers, chat, but truly, deeply alone. Scientists now call it an epidemic. Loneliness is quietly breaking people down. It raises stress, weakens the heart. Some studies say it's as harmful as smoking. We built a world of billions of people and still feel unseen. But here's the question nobody asked. Did ancient humans feel this too? Long before phones, before cities, before words for lonely even existed. Let's go back, way back, to find out how the first humans survived being alone. Because the answer might change how you see your own loneliness. For most of human history, being alone wasn't sad. It was dangerous. Early humans lived in tiny bands, 20, 30 people, maybe fewer. They ate together, slept together, even breathed the same smoky air together. To wander off alone meant one thing: real, immediate danger. No claws, no sharp fangs, just a body built to survive in numbers. A lone human was an easy meal. Together, they were nearly untouchable. So loneliness wasn't just an emotion. It was a survival alarm bell. That ache you feel when you're alone, it's ancient. It's wired in. But even in tight tribes, some people still ended up alone. So how did those people cope when solitude found them anyway? Hunting often meant real physical solitude, sometimes for days at a time. A hunter couldn't talk, couldn't sing, couldn't even think too loudly. At night, alone in open land, the silence must have been enormous. So he talked to the fire. Anthropologists believe early humans spoke to flames, animals, even rocks out loud. The night sky became a companion too, something to name, something to follow. Some of the earliest star patterns weren't science, they were company. Loneliness didn't disappear, but it got quieter when the sky felt alive. And when hunters returned home, that solitude had a strange purpose. Time alone made the return to the group feel even sweeter. But not all solitude was chosen. Some of it was a punishment. Exile, being cast out of the tribe. It may be humanity's oldest punishment. And it wasn't just sad. In the ancient world, it was often a death sentence. No group to hunt with, no one to watch for danger, no fire shared. Many exiled people simply didn't survive the season. Those who did survive had to relearn everything the tribe once provided. Fire making alone, hunting alone, even grieving entirely alone. Which brings us to another kind of ancient solitude: mourning. When a loved one died, the silence left behind must have felt unbearable. Archaeologists have found ancient graves filled with tools, beads, even flowers. These weren't just gifts for the dead, they were gifts against loneliness. A way of saying you are not forgotten, even in silence. Grieving alone was common, but ancient tribes had one powerful tool against it: presence. Simply not leaving someone alone with their pain. No speeches needed, no advice given, just bodies, sitting close, sharing silence. Some researchers believe this is where the earliest funerals began, not just to honor the dead, but to protect the living from isolation. Because ancient humans understood something we sometimes forget today: loneliness left untreated could be just as deadly as any predator. So they built entire rituals just to make sure no one felt forgotten. One of humanity's oldest inventions wasn't a tool, it was the story. Every night, tribes gathered to hear tales of hunts, spirits, and ancestors. Stories filled the silence. They gave shape to fear and company to the mind. Even alone later, a person could replay a story in their head, a kind of ancient companionship carried in memory, not in person. Cave art may have served the same purpose, a way to say, I was here. Some of the oldest paintings ever found are handprints, left in total isolation. Deep, dark chambers, far from any camp, reachable only by crawling alone. Why go this far, alone, just to paint? Perhaps to feel less erased. Art may have been one of the first cures for feeling forgotten. Loneliness may also explain one of humanity's oldest partnerships. Some researchers believe early humans first bonded with wild wolves out of companionship, not just for hunting help, but for warmth, for presence, for less silence. This ancient bond may be the true root of man's best friend. When animals weren't nearby, imagination often filled the gap instead. Archaeologists have found tiny carved figures, worn smooth from constant handling. Some believe these were spiritual objects, others believe they were simply company, something to hold, something to talk to, something that felt less empty. Over time, some tribes began imagining unseen ancestors watching over them. Loneliness, it seems, helped invent the very idea of spirits and gods. Not all solitude was avoided though, some cultures required it. Vision quests sent young people alone into nature, sometimes for days. No food, no fire, sometimes just silence, hunger, and their own mind. The goal wasn't punishment, it was transformation. Through forced solitude, alone long enough, many reported strange visions, insight, a changed sense of self. They returned to the tribe not broken by loneliness, but sharpened by it. The community celebrated their return. Solitude had a beginning and an end. This is very different from loneliness that never ends. Ancient solitude had a purpose and a return. Modern loneliness often has neither. Maybe that's the difference that matters most. Not everyone in ancient tribes coped with loneliness the same way. The elderly, especially those who outlived a partner, often faced quiet isolation. But many tribes gave elders a powerful role, keeper of the stories. Their memory made them valuable, their loneliness less likely to be ignored. Passing down skills gave elders daily purpose and daily company. In many ancient cultures, solitude among elders was treated as a shared duty to fix. The tribe understood leaving someone alone too long could break them. So checking in wasn't kindness alone. It was survival strategy. A lonely elder meant lost knowledge. A cared for elder meant a stronger tribe. Even loneliness in the ancient world was often a problem the whole group solved. Sometimes solitude wasn't chosen or earned. It was forced by illness. Contagious sickness meant real isolation long before anyone understood germs. Even then, tribes found ways to care from a careful distance. Small gestures, a meal left nearby, a voice calling through a wall. Some evidence suggests tribes sang to the sick from outside just to be heard. Not touch, not closeness, but still connection, even through isolation. Recovery meant not just healing the body, but re-entering a life full of people. The return from isolation was treated almost like a small rebirth because they knew the human mind wasn't built to be alone for long. Every method, every ritual kept circling back to one same idea. Loneliness wasn't ignored in the ancient world. It was respected, even feared. It was treated as a real threat, right alongside hunger and cold. And every tool they built against it still shapes us today. Storytelling, art, music, ritual, every one born partly from the ache of solitude. We didn't just survive loneliness. We built entire cultures to fight it. And for most of human history, it worked because no one faced it for long. So then, what changed? Let's step back into today and look a little closer, because somewhere between then and now, something quietly disappeared. Not fire, not shelter, something even more basic than that. We now live closer to more people than any humans in history, yet somehow further apart than ever before. Ancient tribes never let solitude last unchecked. Someone always noticed. Today, someone can disappear for weeks and no one may notice at all. We lost the tribe, but we kept the ancient ache it once protected us from. The good news? The old cures still work, even now. Presence, story, shared meals, simply sitting near another person, saying nothing at all. These weren't outdated habits. They were survival tools, and they still are. Ancient humans never needed a word for self-care. They just never let each other disappear. Maybe the real lesson isn't how they survived loneliness. It's how hard they worked to make sure no one had to. Every fire built, every story told, every hand reaching out in the dark. It was never really about surviving alone. It was about making sure no one had to. So maybe tonight, that's worth remembering. Reach out to someone, sit with someone, notice someone who's gone quiet. It's the oldest medicine humans ever found, and it still works today. Because somewhere deep down, we're still that same tribe by the fire, still wired to need each other, still healed by simple presence. The tools have changed. Fires became lamps, tribes became group chats, but the ancient truth hasn't changed one bit. We were never built to survive this alone, none of us. So if you've made it this far, you're already less alone than you think. Thanks for spending these minutes with me. If this made you think, let me know in the comments below. And if you're curious what else ancient humans figured out before we did, there's a lot more of their story left to tell. Because if they could survive being alone, so can we. One fire, one story, one person reaching toward another. That's how we've always made it through. That single flame is where this all began and where it always returns. Thanks for watching. If you like this, subscribing helps a lot. More ancient history every week. See you in the next one. Every fire we ever built was really just a call for company. And every person who answered that call kept the story going. That's the thread connecting every human who ever sat alone in the dark. It's the same thread connecting you to this very moment, right now. So next time the silence feels too loud, remember, you come from people who never let it win. This has been the story